Olá pessoal, seja bem-vindo a mais um Nova Talk e este é especial. Nós vamos saber as opiniões, né, a opinião de Richard Arnold sobre
Star Trek Discovery. Fica aí.
What's your opinion or appreciation about Discovery?
When I sat down with my clipboard and a pencil to make notes, in the teaser, the very beginning of the episode, first scene, I had so many problems. I was a half a page.
Oh my.
In just that teaser. No female captains. You have to go back to the last episode of the original series, episode 79,
The
Turnabout
Intruder,
Intruder, where she says, your world of starship captains does not include women. I think that's fairly clear, okay? Not that Gene was against women, he loved women. But the military in the 1960s absolutely would never have allowed a woman in a top position back then. He was just being realistic. So that's kind of a violation of his future as he saw it. And it's supposed to be set before, okay? They're on the planet, oh my God, walking in the desert, and she makes a turn, and she makes another turn, and you realize when the camera comes up that she's made a delta.
Yeah.
The first ship to have a delta was Kirk's Enterprise. Nobody else had had a delta before that. Captain Pike had one, but it was the same ship. Okay. And each ship had their own shield. It was all different from the original series. It wasn't until they decided in time for the motion picture.
Yeah, the replica?
Well, they decided that all ships would have the same because the Enterprise, which was the only ship who had come back nearly intact after the 5-year mission, exactly, that they would all start to use the Delta Shield in honor of the Enterprise. That was Gene's history. Okay, so they should have had them. And besides, the ship in space, if it couldn't find them, it wouldn't see a Delta Shield in the desert, nor could it swoop down to where they could see it, because tomorrow was yesterday. We know that the ship could not go that far. You know, and that was the technology of Kirk's time. Forget years before, and so on. There was just so many problems for me, just in that beginning. And then I watched the rest of the episode, and after a few pages of notes, I gave up and just put the clipboard down and just watched it. And Vulcans used to be the most respected species, the most respected race in Star Trek. And starting with Enterprise, they suddenly became lying, cheating, horrible people who thought that we smelled so bad they could barely be in a room with us. It's like, that is not Gene's Vulcans. And I was hoping that they would treat them better in this show, but not a lot better. And just no aliens. Spock was the first to go through Starfleet. No androids, robots, nothing like that yet. Not until after What Little Girls Are Made Of. It was the first time they'd encountered them.
We can say that smell Star Trek, feel like Star Trek.
I was not going to go this. I was hoping for another segment.
Well. It's beautifully made. It's got some amazing actors. Oh my God.
Of course.
Jason Isaacs and my friend Doug Jones, who I've known 25 years.
Special effects are fantastic.
It's amazing to look at, but when the ships go, or that's Star Wars. That's not Star Trek. I'm sorry.
I was going to. We are talking about Discovery. Let's talk about Discovery.
Oh, here's a good one.
Okay.
Here's a good one. When the Klingon becomes the light.
Yeah.
And they all go like this. It's like, it's not a window. It's not a window. It's a view screen. It would adjust for it.
Let me see.
All right. Too many problems. Do you watch Orville?
Yeah,
very good. I love Orville. And I love that there's a staircase.
Orville is very good.
Never stairs in Star Trek.
I'm waiting to ask to Renee if he's going to has a smaller possibility of being the Orville. But let me see. We are in the very digital era. What do you prefer? The CGI effects that were used in the later seasons from Deep Space Nine and Voyager, or the now Discovery era of CGI?
I'm not a CGI fan, period.
Not me
because
either.
It put so many really talented model makers out of work, including my friend Greg Jean, who won an Academy Award for the mothership in Close Encounters, but who has done everything, including a lot of Star Trek. In Trials and Tribulations, he did the models that we saw, Space Station K7, so he's so talented. But everything is CGI now, so a lot of these people, they just can't get work anymore. Greg ended up, this is so horrible, making copies of the ships and some of the smaller models for Planet Hollywood to put in their lobbies. And you know, they would say, you know, this is the Enterprise D from Star Trek Next Generation. And they didn't say not the original, and they had like 50 of them. He made that many of them for all of their restaurants, and people thought they were taking pictures of the original model. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the filming model. And one of the models that he made was the shuttlecraft for Star Trek V, which was a beautiful little model, which William Shatner directed. Yeah. And that was up for auction at the show in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. Oh. And I looked at it and I went, ooh, and I knew that my friend, a friend of mine was there. I won't say his name, and he had worked on the movie, and he does miniatures. So I asked him to come over and look at it, and he looked underneath it and he said, no, there's no mount for filming. There's no running lights, which there should have been on the bottom. The window was just painted on. It wasn't a real window, which it should have been for filming. And the name of the ship and everything were decals. They weren't painted on. They were hand painted, the originals. And just to finish, the color on the bottom and the nacelles was wrong. I mean, he was just listing it off like this, but he didn't say this is an original filming model. So they never got an opening bid. It was a beautifully made copy, replica.
Okay. The last one.
The last one.
We are seeing a lot of changes in Discovery lately, trying to sync up. Why? What is going on over there that we don't know in here?
Okay, when they started the show, they brought on Nick Meyer, and they brought on Rod Roddenberry and his partner Trevor Roth and various other people who would have been really good for, you know, making this as good a Star Trek as possible, something that Gene would have approved of, which is not what happened. And I was over at Nick's house, and he was signing autographs for a trading card company. First time he'd ever done it. And we were chatting, and he said, they don't even bring me in for meetings. You know, he wasn't involved in casting or anything. I'm like, oh my God, so they're just using your name.
His head.
And same thing with Trevor and Rod, they're just using their name. You know, they're not in Toronto, where the production is. And as far as I know, they don't even have offices in LA. So I thought that was kind of sad. They really needed some people who could say, well, this is what we've established, or this is kind of how Gene would have wanted it. And it's, again, that brick wall that, you know, everybody has learned. They don't want to hear what was done before. They're making what they want to make. Okay. It's partially ego, partially, you know, you have to understand that somebody who's going to produce something doesn't want restrictions. They want to make what they want to make. So they've already been running into situations where fans have kind of pushed back. You know, Mudd was not a homicidal maniac. You know, things like that, and they hear it. They hear it because they go to conventions. Alex and the others have been going to conventions.
The fans are very vocal about these conventions.
And they may be, again, a small percentage, but trust me, with Discovery, people who are casual viewers do not pay to watch. It's the fans who are actually paying to watch. Okay. So they really have to listen this time. Understood. It's the first time they've really had to listen. So yeah, there have been, you know, towards the end of the first season, you could see that there had been some adjustments made. Okay. And you know, second season, nothing is to be talked about yet. They're back in Toronto filming. I think it starts January next year. Hopefully, we will see some more improvements. I've been impressed with, you know, some of the things that I've seen towards the end of the first season.
I have the final question. It's a personal curiosity.
Okay.
You talk about the Manicoto Enterprise, the
fourth season.
The fourth. Yeah, too late. They brought
What
him in
do you
too
think
late.
about the fourth season of Enterprise? I have an opinion. I'd like to know yours. For me, it was one of the best things that they have done in the universe, Star Trek universe. What do you think about this?
It started to get more like Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. When Manny came in, Manny's a fan. So that made a difference. but it was too late. Too
I
many
know,
of the
I know
fans
that was too late, but
were not
your
watching
opinion was
anymore,
the
yeah.
best year, best season
It was the best
of
year of that
Enterprise?
show, yeah. Yeah, they got a lot closer. They really did. There were times earlier on where every now and then a really good script would kind of slip through and they would make it, but at the end of the one where they were on the planet with the slaves and
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
they were, and you know, North Star, I think was the name of it, and they were actually saying good things, right? And then at the end, Scott Bakula says, well, now we have to go off and kill the Zindi. I'm like, no, there was too much war, too much
Yeah,
good guys,
I
bad
know.
guys again. You know how Gene Roddenberry used to get so upset with the writers and the producers trying to write these war, episodes, not just with the Klingons, with anybody, fighting and fighting and fighting. And Gene kept having to say, that's not what my show is about. And Gene said, I'll let you introduce a new nemesis, not a villain, not a bad guy, but a new nemesis if you can make it that they're not bad simply because they wear black. And Morris thought about it, and he created the Borg,
Okay.
who weren't evil. They were just looking to find things to make them go, like the Packlets. And they didn't see us as enemies. They just saw us as a resource.
Raw material.
Raw material, exactly.
Yeah.
And resistance was futile and all that. And the only way that we could defeat them was by literally stopping them. Not destroying them, stopping them from being able to do what they wanted to do, which we realized too soon was not going to be that easy, and Q, got us out of the situation. But anyway, it was an introduction to it. And the funny thing is they did wear black.
Okay.
But that's not why they were evil. That was a coincidence.
Bem, então, pessoal, é isso aí. Tivemos aqui as opiniões de Richard Arnold, suas considerações finais.
Well, thank you for coming to Brazil.
Already?
We want to see you more in this show, more in this country, more in our conventions, please.
That's up to him.
That's up to him.
Yeah.
He's the one who signed the checks.
I was so happy when he contacted me about coming down again. That was so wonderful. And you are going
I
to
am
show.
happy that you
you're
are
going to
here.
show all
Thank
the little
you.
videos when Renee's on stage, right?
Oh, yeah,
So you
yeah,
can see them all
yeah.
there.
Even the
Yeah.
Shatner video.
Definitely the Shatner video.
All right.
He was the first to say yes.
He was the first
Yeah.
in video.
And he did it on his own in his office with his assistant holding his phone.
And
So,
I want to thank you that you said
Yeah.
that you never done this
I've
in
never
a
done this for
convention.
other conventions, no.
Yeah.
And believe me, people ask, and I say, no, you got to talk to their agent or their manager or whoever. I can't do that. But for you, I was willing to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You
man.
see, for more than 10 years of friendship right there.
Oh, definitely.
Much more.
Much more.
Yeah.
Much more.
All right.
Thank you,
I will
Richard.
see you guys later
And
and at the convention.
stay tuned.